Okay, so this is my CAA number 3, and today I'm going to talk about different cases, different laws, different acts that helped create and have the maintenance of the bilingual education programs we have today. And so the first one that I'm going to talk about is Mayer versus Nebraska. And this happened in 1923, and I feel like this is the very first thing that helped bilingual programs get started. And this was a U.S. Supreme Court case. And according to Chapter 4 of Forgotten Legacy, it says that the most restrictive of these laws were later struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. So that means the U.S. Supreme Court won, and Nebraska did not win this case. And this case was about a teacher who was charged a crime for reading a Bible story in German to a 10-year-old child. And back then, at that time, Nebraska had two very strict laws that said you cannot teach any subject other than the language English. And so Supreme Court definitely ruled that law was unconstitutional because it was violating the 14th Amendment right of parents and teachers to teach children what they think appropriate. So I feel like this is kind of the first opening to allow teachers and parents to teach their students or their children other than English, such as Spanish, learning how to read and write in Spanish. Okay, and the next one I'm going to talk about is Brown versus Board of Education, and this happened in 1954. And English language learners can't be fully separated from other students throughout their education. Back at this time, there was segregation going on, and Supreme Court definitely ruled that that was not constitutional, and so this helped desegregate the public schools, and states are responsible for providing students with equal educational opportunities, and this helped build high quality bilingual programs as well. So this definitely helped students who were bilingual or English language learners to get the same opportunity and same education as other students as well. So it definitely helped these students to learn English. And then the next one I'm going to talk about is the National Defense Education Act. And this happened in 1958. And the Congress passed this act, and this authorized the first federal subsidies for foreign language instruction. So this happened because U.S. feared that the Soviet Union was superior than American schools, and so the Congress decides to add this act to put schools up to speed, which causes increased funding specifically for science, math, and also foreign language. So this also provided aid in other areas such as technical education, area studies, geography, counseling, guidance, libraries, and educational media centers. This also provided financial assistance for students who were going to college or they were enrolling in college and they couldn't afford it. It provided a lot of financial assistance for those students to get that education because they were worried that the Soviet Union was superior since they were the ones that launched the Sputnik, the satellite. Okay. And going on to the next one, which is Elementary and Secondary Education Act. And this one started in 1965. And this caused funds, policies, and procedures that target students from low-income families. And also, it provided education for language minority students began to also improve in their language and in their academics because there was more funds, and their focus was to help those families who have low income, which targeted those certain students, English language learners. Okay, and then the next one is Title VII Bilingual Education Act, and this one was going on for a while. It's no longer continued. It ended in 2002, but it started in 1968. And this provided federal funding for school districts to support bilingual education programs. And so this caused a lot of grants to school districts and other eligible entitles through a competitive grant process. And this helped a lot by focusing and helping on English language learners to achieve fluency in English, and it also remained constant. So it was helpful getting the funding that they need for these bilingual education programs that these students need to learn. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is No Child Left Behind, and this happened in 2001, and it was President George Bush who signed this and it is a policy. It is a federal policy for language minority students learning English, and it changed dramatically. Title VII Bilingual Education Act was replaced by Title III, which is Language Instruction for Limited English Proficient and Immigrant Students. So this helped definitely with accountability through high stakes testing, and it just made sure that no student was left behind, made sure that we were meeting all students' needs and meeting all those requirements to support them. And the next one we're going to talk about is Bill Baker signs English Learning Overhaul into Law 2002. And this one is taught in sheltered immersion programs. So now you're able to choose different approaches to meet their students' needs. And some people would argue this is overly restricted and has not helped close the achievement gap between native English speakers and their peers who are still learning the objective. But Senate Ways and Means Chair Karen Spica even mentioned that students in dual language programs have an import skill and are more aware of their other cultures and better prepared to compete in a global environment. So definitely this helps students who are in dual language, who know more than one language, bilingual programs. They help these students for success outside of school for sure, and also in job opportunities as well, by showing that they are having the skills and that they're more aware of other cultures than other classes such as general education classes. And also created a parent advisory committee in schools with high focus in English language learners. And in the past 6 years, it increased standards, it trained teachers, evaluate program equality, which was very beneficial to these students because in results, many started to build their English language skills a lot faster when this started being enforced. Okay, and the next one we're going to talk about is English Language Arts, English Language Development Framework. So this happened in 2014, and it says English Language Arts and English Language Development Framework, which serves a blueprint for implementing states' content standards, was adopted in 2014. The framework emphasizes incorporating language development in all core subjects, and English learners receive the same quality and instruction as their English-speaking peers. So they're getting the same education and the same resources that these students need, but also in English and Spanish in a bilingual education program. So this is very helpful for the students to develop their English proficiency and definitely help them improve for sure with their English. And so this helped a lot by having this development in all core subjects, not just one subject. Okay. And the next one that we're going to be talking about is Every Student Succeed Act. And so this is a law that governs how to spend the $2.5 billion in federal funding. And this requires states to focus spending on specific student groups such as English learners. So this definitely helps a lot for English language learners and also bilingual programs, because fundings were definitely focused in these certain programs to help these students meet what they need and get the resources that they need in the education as well. And going back to the article, it says, Coleman said they also hope it is used to inform decision in California's plan to comply with the federal requirements of the Every Student Succeed Act, the law that governs how California can spend about $2.5 billion in federal funding, and it requires the state to focus spending on specific student groups, including English learners. So that funding was very helpful for bilingual programs for these students. And the next one we're going to talk about is Bilingual Education Advocates New Policy, which is Roadmap 2017, which is the most recent one. And this one was adopted in California in 2017, and it's comprehensive and reflects on academic standards and curriculum instruction. And this is an online resource for school districts that will help them guide curriculum instruction and standards for the English language learners in the state's public schools. And so this doesn't replace the English language development standards or state standards, but Roadmap is to supplement them and inform English learners' policy. This is very significant because it removes old regulations that guided how schools and districts developed bilingual programs, and it helps school meet those requirements for teaching those English language learners. And it also replaces outdated language from Proposition 227, which mandates all English learners to be taught in English-only classroom. And we know that that is not beneficial for them at all. And so they outdated that. And the new requirements is Proposition 58, which allows public schools to teach language English learners through multiple bilingual programs. So there's just a variety of multiple programs. There's dual language, there's bilingual programs and transition programs. There's so many different bilingual programs, and so this definitely allowed school districts to develop different programs that are beneficial for these students. Okay, and so those are all the laws and acts that I had in my presentation, and here's my sources that I got my information from.